Okay, let's talk about some Lakers news that came out this morning. It's news that we were waiting on. I've been waiting for this to get confirmed, but now we've got the exact quotes. This is coming from Mike Bresnahan of Spectrum Sportsnet. A lot of people have been asking about Jarred Vanderbilt and what's going on with him. It was a couple of months ago when JJ Redick casually mentioned that Jarred Vanderbilt had some rehab to still do this summer, which perked a lot of ears up because he was supposed to be eligible to play at the end of the playoffs for the Lakers. And yet a month or so later, he still had rehab to do. A strange situation. Now we get this from Mike Bresnahan of Spectrum Sportsnet saying, Vando is going to be interesting. I'm not sure he'll be ready for training camp or even for the preseason games. It's a foot injury. He opted not to have a procedure in season when he got hurt in February. So we'll see if he's ready to go. I don't have a lot of details on it, but I'm not sure he'll be ready for training camp. Regular season is a different story. Hopefully he's ready by then, but nothing concrete on him yet. Keith, Lakers fans have been waiting to get an update on Vando. The footage we've seen or the pictures we've seen of him working out at the facility, we haven't seen him running, jumping, cutting, that sort of stuff. It's been stuff more in the weight room type thing. We also had that little comment from JJ Redick. Now this from Brez kind of confirming like, hey, something's still going on here. This was an injury that took place middle of last year. This is not a great sign, Keith, for Jarred Vanderbilt and the Lakers that we're still here. We are. It's September, and it's now a question whether or not he'll be a go for training camp.
Yeah, that's really not good. That's worrisome because if it's something you thought you could just rehab, generally within a couple months, like, all right, that's probably not going to work. I mean, we're talking now. Yeah, well, it was February, right? Because it was a game against the Celtics.
It was against the Celtics
when he got hurt.
Yeah.
So we're talking almost 7 months later. Like that's not great. And I was that part of, I'm just kind of constantly always looking at teams and rosters and depth charts. And I was like, there's a world where Jarred Vanderbilt, if the Lakers did want to go a different direction, he could probably start, or certainly going to be the first, in my mind, the first big. I know he's not traditional big, but kind of like a bigger forward off the bench for the Lakers. And that's a huge loss. Like you're now pressing other guys into more minutes if he's not ready to go. I mean, this is the thing too with the NBA. It's a little hard when they say, I don't know if he'll be ready for training camp. Regular season's a different story. It's not that different of a story in the NBA because this is not a month and a half long training camp like the NFL. It's like 3 or 4 weeks and then it's time for the season. Like that part's a little, that's also concerning to me. Like if he's not ready for training camp, I don't know that the 3 weeks, like, is it magically he needs 3 more weeks and he's ready to go? I hope so, because I really like Jarred Vanderbilt, but I don't know, man, that's tough.
Well, it also tells you that if he's not ready to go for training camp, with again it being essentially 3 weeks till the start of the regular season, he's probably not going to be 100%. Even if he is able to play, he's probably not 100%. And yes, we've very much been having that discussion about should he start. We've gone into the advanced metrics of what happens when Jarred Vanderbilt is on the court, particularly with D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves. Does his defense make more of a difference, say, than what Rui Hachimura's offense can? So this is very much bad news for the Lakers if he's not ready to go. Even if he is ready for the regular season, that doesn't mean he's going to be at 100%. In fact, I think it suggests that he would not be at 100% because it takes time, particularly for a guy who relies so much on his quickness and the endless energy to be such a big component of his game. This would be, I think, a big loss for the Lakers, even if he's not 100%. We saw it last year. There were probably 5 games where Jarred Vanderbilt looked like himself. Otherwise, he came back from his initial injury maybe a little bit too early and spent essentially the month of December playing, but not looking right, not looking like himself.
Sure.
And that version of Jarred Vanderbilt isn't going to help you nearly as much as what you need if you're the Lakers. Now, you also mentioned the domino effect. Who gets minutes in place? Let's say Vanderbilt's not ready to go. I think what this does is it puts either Cam Reddish into a more of a role because he can in some ways mimic, not at the same quality, but mimic what Jarred Vanderbilt does defensively and unfortunately offensively as well. or it puts more pressure on rookie Dalton Knecht to play immediately out of the gate on the wing for the Lakers and give them another option there. So that is, I think, what we're looking at is probably more opportunity for either Cam Reddish or pushing the rookie right into the deep end and saying, hey, you're, the 8th guy on the roster, maybe the 9th guy on the roster on opening night. And that's a tall ask for a rookie, even one who's an older rookie like Knecht.
Yeah, I also think, like, if you're JJ Redick, do you say, you know what, maybe the plan was to start Rui Hachimura, but do we now go with more of a true wing like Max Christie, or do you go with Dalton Knecht if he plays well out of the gate? Do you, like you said, Cam Reddish, and do you bring Hachimura off the bench in the spot that likely would have been Vanderbilt's spot as the big forward? Like now, like that's where he is. Not saying Hachimura won't play plenty beside LeBron, but is he kind of LeBron's backup and plays some minutes with him too? Like, is that how you start to think about things? But you're right. There becomes a trickle down effect because there isn't maybe Christian Wood, this is a path to him seeing more time. Maybe it is, hey, we need you to actually play some at the 4 now. What does that look like? I was just kind of going through it a little bit. There's not a great answer of any of the, bench guys of, all right, go with this guy in there because Maxwell Lewis isn't that size guy. Cam Reddish isn't necessarily really that size guy as far as having the bulk to do the things Vanderbilt does against bigger players. But yeah, you're gonna have to get creative and play some different guys and figure it out if he's not ready to go. Or as you said, for the first month and a half of the season, he may only be able to give you 10, 15 minutes or something like that as he builds back up and builds back into a 20 plus minute a night role. So yeah, let's see what that looks like. That's a worrisome update.
Big time.
Like, a few weeks out from training camp that he may not be ready to go. Cause I've just been assuming, cause I'm not on it day to day like you are, but I've just been assuming, he'll be ready to go. Why wouldn't he be? It's been, by that point, it'll be, 8 months by the time, he's back. And, here we are not ready. That's concerning.
So regarding the starting lineup, I do think that ultimately push comes to shove, JJ Redick will stick with Rui Hachimura in the starting lineup simply because he's not going to want to make the same mistakes that Darvin Ham made. And one of the big criticisms of Darvin the year before was by shaking up the starting lineup and putting Taurean Prince right out of the gate when all summer they had been talking about continuity. So I think it probably winds up being Rui, but you're right. Maybe you hit a point where they have to start looking at other things if Jarred Vanderbilt is simply not in the rotation and you have to try to adjust for that. Now, we do have some good news as well. It's not all bad. Some good news. Rui is ready to go. He's fine. So that's great. He did have that calf issue that maybe was real. I don't know in the Olympics. He and Brez said he had, I think, a hamstring injury in the Olympics. It was reported as a calf injury, but he's good to go. So that's great. He's been working out at the facility. I mentioned Gabe Vincent. Like, I'm really excited to see what he can bring. He's ready. He's been working out a little bit. So there's 2 guys. Gabe Vincent, we know when he did come back last season, was, a shell of himself. Good to hear that he is 100% and good to go. And then Rui Hachimura, that's not going to linger. So I know the Jarred Vanderbilt news is what everybody is going to flock to and is going to be upset about, and rightfully so. But at least there is that little bit of good news there that Rui Hachimura and Gabe Vincent sound like they're all set and ready for camp.
Yeah, and we'll pull this up. Christie is small, not even close to the same role as Vando. I wasn't suggesting that he is. What I was saying is you put Hachimura in the Vanderbilt role as the first big forward off the bench, and Christie starts on the wing as more of a true wing. Instead of going a little bit bigger, you go a little bit smaller in the opening group, and then you put Hachimura in that role. I wasn't trying to, just to be clear, I wasn't trying to suggest Max Christie could play Vanderbilt's role. The problem is right now they don't really have anybody who can kind of play his role. There isn't a guy on the roster. They've got a lot of wings, right? Like that's like there's just a lot of wing type players on the Lakers bench right now. Even the 2-way guys, other than Colin Castleton, those are more wings. So hey, that's tough, man, and that's one where maybe we see one of those early season trades that you don't generally see. Maybe they're like, hey, we got to figure it out, right? Yeah, I know you. You and
Like,
every other Lakers fan is like, please,
been
we
praying
don't
to the
need to wait till
basketball
early
gods for
season.
trades.
Yeah, do it today. Do it
Let's
3 weeks
right
ago,
now.
2 months ago. Like, let's go.
Right?
But no, yeah,
Good
I get
Lord.
it. Like, but generally, yeah, we said it. Trades are fairly uncommon. But yeah, maybe we do see some kind of movement here, and it could happen, at some point. So yeah, I'm curious to see how they go about this, because it's not, and that's tough, right? Any team, you don't want to be starting behind the 8 ball. It's like even GG Jackson, not a super duper important player, but we talked about it. The Grizzlies, you just don't want to be starting behind the 8 ball with guys out with injuries. Like, everybody's going to deal with something, but you don't want to be dealing with it on day one of camp. Like, it's like, let's, all right, if we're going to deal with it, let's deal with it in, January versus day one of camp. Like, let's at least start with everybody here. So let's see. Still got a few weeks to go. So maybe.
We'll see.
I thought you were going to go to the Alex Fudge signing. I thought that's where you were. Like, let's get deep into that. And I was like, oh, all right, sure, I guess.
Unfortunately, that was not the news that I was getting into here. But if you are watching over on Lakers Nation, guys, make sure you do subscribe. YouTube.com/Lakers Nation. We'll keep everybody updated, of course, on what's going on with this Jarred Vanderbilt situation. But again, not great news. So. Not ideal. But again, thank you everybody for watching on Lakers Nation.